Welcome back to LifeGroups. We are having conversations about the decisions that we make and the way in which they impact our lives and our story. And we've been talking about a couple different frameworks for decision making. One is that good questions set us up for good decisions. And the other is that the community that we have around us, the people that we ask good questions with, is really important. Today, we're talking about a question that I think is really important. Is there attention in my life that deserves my attention? Is there attention that deserves my attention? It's a question of conscience. Now, I want to tell you a story about when I was about 8 years old. I was living in Philadelphia, Mississippi, and my friends and I were planning to spend the night over in the backyard of Mr. Dick, Miss Hazel Allen's house in tents. We were going to have a sleepover, and we were all excited about it. We've been excited about it all week long, and the day came, and some of my friends who planned to spend the night there decided that it would be a good idea for us to gather up all the toilet paper in all of our houses and bring those to the tents as well, so that we could participate in a yard rolling somewhere in the neighborhood. We didn't know whose house we would roll. Well, the evening came and we had dinner and we played, and darkness came and we stayed in the tents. And as young guys are prone to do, we stayed up way too late. And it came, 1, 2 in the morning, and we were still trying to decide whose house we were going to roll. Well, one of the guys who lived across the street, decided it'd be a good idea for us to roll his house and frame his older brother. That was not a good decision and a terrible idea, but we went along with it. And some of us decided to go ahead and roll the house. And I was one of them. There were some of the guys who decided that wasn't a very good idea. They were pretty wise in this regard. So we went over, we took all the toilet paper, we rolled the house, and we came back bragging about what a good job we'd done. Well, this particular friend whose house it was that we had rolled decided that he was getting cold feet. He began to sweat the decision that he'd made. And he decided that he needed to go back, not only to show off his wonderful work and our wonderful work together, but when we got over there, he decided he would go in the back door of his house and get a lighter so that he could burn the toilet paper out of the trees. Well, what I haven't told you yet is that we lived on Poplar Avenue, and at the end of Poplar Avenue was the police station. So when my friend began burning the toilet paper in the trees, these flames headed up into the trees, the police caught scent and sight of the situation, and the blue lights came flying down Poplar Avenue. Well, I, along with some of my friends, were stuck on the wrong side of the road as some of them ran to the other. And I felt that deep pit of my stomach anxiety and worry of where this was headed. My friend Sam bolted, and I tried to follow. He made it across, and I got stuck in the middle of the road with a spotlight on me right there. And the police picked me up and put me in the cop car and said, "Son, where do you live?" I pointed down the road. I said, "Right over there." I lived in the Methodist pastor's parsonage. And so the police officer called up my parents at 2 in the morning, and they said, "Mr. and Mrs. McAlilly, I'm bringing your son home." Wasn't the best decision, and it was one that I instantly regretted. But it was one that I could have seen coming all along the way, because at various moments in that particular day, there was a tension in the pit of my stomach about the unfolding events of the day that I simply ignored. And I bet you've maybe had that as well, whether you've ignored it or acted upon it. I bet you know what it's like when you've come to small or large decisions in your life for you to feel an emotional tension. Sometimes you pay attention to it, sometimes you don't, but it's usually there, especially in the big moments. Now, I think that this particular dimension has been called by various names. One of the things that that the Christian tradition has called it is your conscience. There's a particular proverb that speaks to this. The prudent, that is, those who are thinking wisely about the future, the prudent see danger and they take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. The prudent see danger and take refuge, and the simple keep going and pay the penalty. And I think that the question, is there a tension that deserves my attention, is one that we should pay attention to in our decision making. There are times where the tension that we're experiencing in a particular moment of decision is worth pausing for. It's worth paying attention to allow the internal hesitation or the red flags to come to the surface. Sometimes that's God's way of turning us away from a direction that will be harmful or painful or destructive for us into a path that can be healthy and life-giving and positive for us. So I wonder if you've ever had that tension that deserves your attention. Did you pause? Did you not? Was it a big decision or was it small? Maybe you were ready to press go and you stopped. Maybe there's a time where you ignored the tension and you moved forward and it led to certain consequences. This is the kind of conversation that makes for a great life group discussion. And I do think it's one as we navigate these different situations. Some of us know what it's like to make good decisions and bad decisions. And if we're honest with ourselves, we made a little bit of both. But we can get better at decision making. We can make decisions with fewer regrets. We can do it in community if we ask these questions together. I hope you have a good one tonight as you discuss how to make better decisions with fewer regrets.